fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a message through the pain, through the hurt. Just want them to catch a message. Keep on hustling, put in work. Just want them to catch a message. Stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark come. Got me thinking about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if you're sitting in a tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I done been there. One shot like stop. Shot I lost a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the same air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the side and say, I'm out, or stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life? See me, I still battle with a...
Hi everybody, welcome to the Survivor Series. We're streaming live to Higgy 2.0, Pain to Purpose, and the No More Heroin Survivor Series YouTube channel. So I want to welcome everyone on all those platforms. The Survivor Series is an original product of No More Heroin 501c3, and we showcase inspirational testimonies of people that have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to have and live a life of purpose and destiny. And the definition of survivor, there are so many, but the people that come on this show have a story to tell, stories of survival and overcoming. And this is going to be a really good show, guys. Kim Bellis from Sober is the New Cool brand and life clothing brand is our guest. And before I bring Kim on, I want to introduce my beautiful co-host, Amanda Marker. Her platform is Pain to Purpose. Please let them know what you're doing with your platforms.
Yeah, so we run a digital support center. It has been down for a little while. We are getting our meetings up and going and all that good stuff. I'm excited to be here and meet Kim and introduce you guys to Sober is the New Cool.
Sober is the New Cool, and Kim is phenomenal. So I'm going to bring her on right now. Hi, Kim.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Sober is the New Cool, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hey, guys, if you're watching us live, you'll see the live button overhead there. If you're not and you're catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay. If you're catching us live, drop a hashtag live. Let us know where you're watching us from. And Kim, so glad to have you on here tonight. We've been friends on social media for a while. We support each other. I really love your passion for the recovery community, families of people in recovery, struggling addicts. I love your clothing brand. I love everything about your persona and your heart. You're a beautiful woman, but what makes you even more beautiful is your heart. So,
thank you.
So I want to throw up this picture real quick and let me know who's in this picture with you.
That's my son Matthew, and that's where the story starts. That's why the story started, and he's the one who gave me back my life.
Woo! So tell us about that.
So basically in 2013, my poor son Matthew was 13, 12 years old. He was playing football. He was fantastic at it. And from one day to the next, he started having grand mal seizures. And so our life went basically to shit. It was bad. It was like we didn't know what was going on. It was from one day to the next. So then they finally diagnosed him with epilepsy, which in turn meant he was going to be on medicine for the rest of his life. So alcohol was just going to be a non-starter. Mm-hmm. So once we kind of got organized with the pills and the medication and kind of the seizures under control, I said, you know, Matt, you got to get back out into the world and see your buddies and whatever. So I drop him off. Half an hour later, he'd call me, say, come and get me. After the third time, I just said, okay, Matt, this isn't working. What's going on here? And he said, Mom, you know, I just don't fit in. Everybody does drugs. Everybody drinks. And in Canada, our drinking age, by the way, is 18. So at 13, the boys all have beer and they all have all kinds of shit going on in the backpack and everything else. Okay. So it's just, that's the reality. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know, if they go to the park, they go wherever, that's what it is. So I said to him, you know what, Matt, you don't need booze to have fun. And as I said it, I had the biggest glass of wine in my hand. And I thought, wow, you are such a hypocrite. So I thought, okay, I don't even know why, because I wouldn't even do a diet if you couldn't have wine before this. Okay, like it's just, there's no way. And so I said, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months. So I did it, right? Because it was for him. I loved him enough. And 3 months came and went, and he said, okay, Mom, now you see you could be like everybody else. I said, okay, I'll do another 3 months.
So in the beginning, you used your love for your son to make this lifestyle change for yourself.
Absolutely. I couldn't do anything to fix him. And as a mother, you always want to fix everything. You know, you want to make everything right. And I couldn't. So I figured, okay, I'll do this. And I mean, and he was sick, you know, we were having seizures and we were in and out of the hospital. So, you know, it wasn't really like I didn't feel like I was really giving up anything, because I really had to be present anyways. Like there was just no option at that point, right? So, but it'll be 10 years, January 12th.
10 years! Ooh, throw some hearts for Kim, guys. Amazing. 10 years.
I've never had another sip again. And, you know, I have to say, like at the beginning, I would hear him when his buddies would show up and he'd say, you can't bring booze into the house, because my mom quit drinking for me. And, you know, that was kind of a bit of the problem. Everywhere I went, or I was 51 at the time, and people would say, just come here, just have one. Nobody's going to know. And I thought, wow, if people are doing this to me, what are they going to do to him, right?
Right.
And, you know, the more time went on, the more I realized, you know what, alcohol had been a problem in my family. You know, we've had alcohol issues before with other members of my family. So I wasn't a stranger to it. And, you know, it is hereditary. So I think alcohol is not my friend, and never was. And I'm much better off without it. And here I am.
There you are. Sober and cool.
Well, yeah, but when I started this, everybody said, you're absolutely nuts. You cannot say sober and cool in the same sentence. It'll never work. It will never work.
It's hard to be cool when you're wasted and drunk, right?
I guess, right?
So when did you start sober as the new cool then?
Well, I guess it was about 2 years. I guess Matthew was about 15 at the time when my sister designed the logo, and I started it. I knew nothing about social media. I mean, I was 51, 52. I really, honestly, it wasn't my thing, right? And so I started it just for him to, because he was embarrassed for some reason not being able to drink. He couldn't even say, it's not because I have an alcohol problem. It's because I have medicine. Like I have a sickness, right? Like a real medical sickness. And he couldn't deal with that stigma of having to explain why you drink, why you don't. And I thought, this is insanity. Who the hell, why does anybody have to explain this? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, right? So I just figured this is for him. It'll give him something to say. Well, my mother, you know, she's like, you know, she's driving me nuts or whatever. You know? So
he probably tells all his friends about it now, doesn't he?
Well, now everybody, like, you know, he does some podcasts once in a while with me, and he'll talk to people, because a lot of young kids that have epilepsy are not supposed to drink. Well, they're told at the hospital you can have 1 or 2 drinks. Okay, which 15-year-old do you know is going to have 1 or 2? I don't know too many.
Right? Why would they advise a 15-year-old the amount of alcohol that he can consume?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Alcohol is the only substance where you got to explain not partaking in it, you know. And when you say you don't drink, people just automatically assume you have a problem. But there are people out there that just don't drink. They just don't like it. Makes them feel they don't like being in control, and it makes them sick. You know.
Exactly.
We, on the other hand, we'll take it to an extreme.
Exactly. And you know what? Like a lot of people that knew me, they all said, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, and I said, but there was. but there was, because I wasn't happy. I wasn't doing my best in life. I wasn't doing anything with passion. I was, yeah, sure, on the outside, everything looked okay. But you know what? Now looking back, I know, shit, I wish I had done this earlier. So when I see all these young people or anybody trying to get sober, I just makes me so happy, because I think it's never too early, and it's never too late. You know, it's just not.
It's never too soon or too late to get your shit together, right?
No.
Look
I had a woman actually last year send me, can I get a t-shirt? And this clothing company is more just to give somebody, it's like a badge of honor. I give away more t-shirts than I make money, trust me, But anyways.
I've had that issue myself. I get it.
That's okay,
If
right?
you want them, you want to give it to them.
Yeah. And so this woman sent me a thing, said, can I get a t-shirt? Blah, blah, blah. I said, sure, I'll send it out. So normally I ask people, if you'd like to send a picture, we'll post it on social media. She sent me a picture, and then right away after, she would send me a letter saying, oh, please don't post it. I said, no problem. Christmas Eve, I get in the middle, just around 4:00, an email from her. Do you think you could post this picture? She said, my grandkids want me to wear my Sober is the New Cool t-shirt because they think they've got their grandma back.
Yeah.
That's the real cool right there.
And she was 82 in February, so she had been 2 years sober that Christmas.
Never too late.
Beautiful.
That
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experience with the recovery community.
But you know what? It just, this came from I don't even know where. We started this, and all of a sudden I started getting a lot of comments and people reaching out to me, sometimes about my son and why did you quit drinking for your son? Some people don't even know the story to this day. And it's really 8 years. And the first few years, it was kind of dabbling in the social media. It's really since COVID that it kind of exploded. And you know what? I got so many requests from young women and young men saying, I need help. Where can I get it? And I had so much information, and I'd met so many people. So I just basically, one woman sent me a letter from South Africa, and she was texting me from Facebook. And I said, wait a second, just hold on. I'll get my phone. It was on my iPad. I said, I know somebody named Chris now. He's got a podcast. I said, he's 27. Maybe he could help your son. Sure enough, he did, and I'm in Montreal and they're in South Africa. So, it took 3 times of rehab and this and that, but he was there and they connected. And you know what? That's what we're all here for, right? To reach out and help each other out. And that's what I do, basically.
Yeah, the opposite of addiction is connection, and that's what the online community is really, really good for. You can connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time, and the beauty of it is most of us are willing to give of ourselves, our time, our resources, and that's what we need more of. We need more camaraderie in our community. Yeah. Recovery is not a competition.
No. And I have one young girl, she's AKA Sober Badger. Her name is Natty. She lives in London, England. And she said, we had been going back and forth for about 2 years at this point. She said, would you ever think of having a tattoo done? And I thought, oh God, I'm so ribbons and bows. I'm not a tattoo kind of girl. And come on, look at my age, right? So, but then I thought, if that was my son asking somebody, and if that's what it takes for her to feel special, I'm going to do it. So there we were on WhatsApp. This is our tattoo. It's the infinity sign with my heart and hers. And we did it.
That's another thing I love about you. If I ask you, if I'm making a collage of videos, pictures, and whatnot, and I ask you to participate, you're all in all the time, and I love that about you because you want to give of yourself. You want to be a representative of what recovery can look like and the blessings that can come from being in recovery as well. And I think that just speaks volumes about you as a woman, as a human, as a beautiful person. I mean, I really do. I give you props for that. And you always you try to include everyone in your works as well.
Oh God. And like I always wanted daughters. I never got any. I have two beautiful sons, but now I feel like I have daughters all over the world. And, and it's really great. And now I'm meeting all these young dads, and they're so great and they're so present. And, it's just great. Like, to me, I feel that we're talking about it. And I don't know if you saw, I talked about a book from Senator Madeline Dean and her son, Harry Cunin. And they share their story between a mother and a son through his eyes and through hers. And it's a magnificent book. And this guy, Harry, is absolutely fantastic. He's giving back every single day to the sober community now. And you got to love it. You just got to, she's a senator. She could have hid and said, no, I'm not doing this. And she didn't. She came out and she fights for recovery. And I love anybody who fights for recovery. I do.
Yeah. I want to give a couple shout outs here. I'd like to give a shout out to Hard Knocks Talks. Daniel and their platform is out of Canada as well. They do phenomenal work. They do a lot for their communities. They have great interviews, great content, and they're about it for the right reason. So I want to give Daniel and Hard Knock Talks podcast a shout out. Please follow them on Facebook. They have a sensational platform. Also, I'd like to shout out to Hick Chermy. He was my guest on Tuesday. He's an actor from Louisiana. Phenomenal story. He just followed you on Instagram as well. Amazing dude. He's about it for the right reasons as well. He doesn't have to rep recovery. None of us have to rep recovery, but it's what we want to do to inspire, motivate, and empower people to choose a better and healthy lifestyle for themselves, whatever that pathway may be. Thanks. Hard Knock Talks just shared. Thank you, sir. I love you, bro.
Yeah. And, I feel that the more it goes on, I think we're finally getting somewhere. I feel that people there's some stories people don't want to talk about, like all this fentanyl that's going all crazy all over the place, the Halloween candy that's being laced with fentanyl. These things people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about anxiety and mental health and suicidal thoughts and all this, but we have to. We have to do it because, like my son, imagine a 13-year-old that from playing football 5 days a week to not being able to ride a bike. I mean, of course he had anxiety. Why would I have to hide that and pretend that he's okay? Wrong. We have to talk about these things and share, right?
That's real life issues, right? There's so many of our problems we want to sweep under the rugs because we're filled with shame and guilt and remorse, and we just don't want people to know we're struggling, but you're not alone if you're struggling. That's the whole point in this. I think Brene Brown said, if we share our stories in an empowering way, guilt and shame can't live in that. That's a powerful. But when we talk about our problems and how we overcome them, or even what we're going through at that time, that's real. I mean, those are real facts of life. Everybody struggles, and no one has to struggle alone.
No. And everybody has to make a conscious effort of really reaching out every single day. Like I do it every day. So, I wake up in the morning. It's like, call it divine intervention, call it whatever you want. But I start thinking about people here and there. And all of a sudden I send them little messages. And sure enough, they needed something at that moment. And it takes 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Anyone can stop at any time and reach out and say, how are you doing? Do you need me? What can I do to help? And I think if everybody just did a little bit of that, we'd be a hell of a lot happier.
We would be, for sure.
Pop in and go over to YouTube and grab some guided meditations and send those out. I do that a lot. it helps people. We need that. We need to know there's love out there. And the recovery community introduced me to the meaning of unconditional love simply because we're human beings. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I see it all day, every day. People telling strangers they love them. And, where I used to think that was like frowned upon, right? Like you're love bombing people. And like, it's not. Like you're telling people they're loved and they're worthy.
I like being love bombed, by the way.
Me too. Me too.
And I'm not ashamed to say those words. I love you. I mean, some people throw it around like it's, just a casual thing. But when you give unconditional love to someone that's not expecting it, I mean, it can be something very, very good for them in their life. It could be a turning point. It could give them the boost that they need to keep fighting one more day. So why withhold, love and affection from someone?
And like when I first meet people, a lot of times I'll say to them, okay, do you want to do this like exercise with me? Because sometimes people aren't into AA or they're not into this. They don't know what they want to do. So I'll say, listen, for me, self-esteem is key. So I'll tell them, okay, we're going to start this exercise called I am. And I send them a word every morning. And I did this with my kids, by the way. I got a billboard at a dollar store and I put I am on it in front of each of their sinks. And every morning and every night, I put one word, one positive word. And then, so they woke up in the morning with one word and they went to bed with a positive word. And I do that with people. And most people, when I meet them, they say, oh, no, I don't know what to say. There's not really that much that's great about me. And I have one young girl, Kelly Marie. She's a wonderful nurse. She's now in charge of 40 nurses 2 years after being awesome. Free. I mean, she's wonderful. She's in Philadelphia. I love my Kelly Marie. When I started with her, she said she was having trouble finding words. So she said, okay, I'm hardworking. I said, no. I said, you're dedicated. Because it's the same word, but dedicated really made her smile, right? And it's a play with words. And, I had one school teacher. She now starts her days with all her kids with the I am. And every kid has to say something because it took me to 60 years old to be able to say I'm enough. And no, you know what? No, I'm not perfect. I'm not everything I want to be, but I'm okay, and I don't want anybody to wait till they're 60 to feel that.
Absolutely. I think what you're doing is like the power of what affirmations can do.
Yeah.
It's telling yourself, because we are our own harshest critic. And when you're in that self-doubt mode, you can't always get the encouragement you need from other people. So we have to find it within ourselves, right?
Yeah. And by doing it every day and every night, after 6 months, the young teacher said, I couldn't say one good thing about myself, and now I could say 50. Yeah. So you know what? Bravo to her. She says smart, she says funny, she says, there's so many words to describe. And you know what? Everybody has qualities. And it just reminds you of all the good things there are about you, because everybody is good. They all have something good, right?
Planting seeds, Kim, planting seeds.
Yeah, it's a trickle effect, because now how many people, she shared that with her classroom and all of those students.
Yeah. That ripple effect. Yeah. Everybody that's going to be touched by the waves going out from that one act.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank God. Thank God, right?
And thank God she started doing it with children, because it's easy. Yes. It's easier to teach kids how to be okay with themselves than to repair broken people.
Exactly. And you know what? If they can say when they're in grade 5, okay, maybe I'm not the fastest runner, but I'm smart, or I'm funny, or I'm this, or I'm that, right? Like there's so many things that you can describe yourself with. And there's so many words. And as you get on, it gets harder and harder, but it gets deeper and deeper. And then they really know they do matter and you do care about them, right?
Absolutely.
I heard a TED Talk once, and I think she was a teacher, but she explains how she goes into a classroom, a kindergarten classroom, and she asks all the kids who the strongest kid in the classroom is, right? And all of the little kindergarten kids raise their hands and say, me, right? She says she goes down the hall to the 5th grade class and says the same thing, who's the strongest kid? And they all get really quiet and look around and point at each other, right? So it's like a learned thing. We learn to see others to be more valuable than ourselves and to put them in front of us. And it really is an unlearning to kind of get to a place, because we have to teach our kids, right? That they're the strongest kid. They need to be like the strongest kid.
Empower kids to be who they are, to chase the dreams, to have coping mechanisms in this troubling world that we live in. Children are our future. You know, the bottom line. You know, those are our future leaders. Those are our future presidents, leaders of all areas. So empowering them to be okay with themselves and have those coping mechanisms it's going to change the world.
And also, that's why we have to have young mothers. We have to empower young mothers and young fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, because then also they have an effect on everybody, right? Because there are a lot of moms that are either single or by themselves and having a hard time, and they need support. And by us giving it to them, they can give it to their kids. Because if they're no good, it's too hard. And they need it. We need them because they're our future too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Higgy was a big part of my recent experience, and stayed with my children. I was I moved here, left a relationship, very difficult situation. I came here, brought my kids here, and just had this kind of cascade of really difficult events that kind of led me to a really unhealthy place within my mind, right? And I was reaching out to Higgy and Steffi and a couple people here gradually as I was going. And, we had an emergency plan that I would go to the emergency room, and all these things kind of played out that I kept taking steps to get there. And everybody here in the sober living home where I'm staying, they all know the story. I've been here since April, kind of sharing in meetings and whatnot. So they all know very intimate details about the situation. And every single one of them were adamant. We will watch your children. They will be taken care of. It's most important for you to go take care of you and get right for these children. And so I was gone. I had a long weekend away, and my children were safe, right, with people who
it's an unconditional love piece, right?
Yeah.
You love someone, you support them, you fill in wherever possible. I'm grateful for that.
How brave of you, Amanda, to share that. I mean, that is magnificent, because somebody else will hear you talking about it, and that's going to make them not feel so alone, right? Absolutely. And they're going to know that there's a way to get through those moments.
Right, exactly. It's about being transparent and real, and life happens, and
and
we have to show up for it.
And it happens to everybody. So even these people that pretend that, wrong. No,
right.
Nobody's life is perfect. Nobody.
A lot of us have a lot of unresolved trauma in our lives as well, which lead to poor mental health. And there is, if anyone's out there struggling with trauma, mental health issues, just know that there is a way through this, and take the measures you need to secure your well-being and address the most present and looming issues in your life. Everything else will play out after that. We have so many problems and thoughts in our head, but you are the most important person. Take care of yourself and lean on your support network. If you don't feel you have a support network, start seeking out people.
They're everywhere.
That are in the same situation as you. And the fact that we come on social media and talk about our issues, we have a network of people that we can call on to help support direct guide, give us resources, and it didn't just come to us. We had to put ourselves in a position of vulnerability to receive any and all of that. So, reaching out for help, it's not a sign of weakness. It's definitely a sign of strength, because you really want to fight for your life, and you want to turn your life around.
It feels like a weakness. It feels like weakness. It's disgusting. It's shameful. The whole situation is typically very difficult situation. It's shameful, right? But we still deserve to heal and get through that. I run businesses and have business associates and people that I'm still very ashamed of all of this stuff. I have conversations with them and feel like they're all trying to save me now. And there's all kinds of weird things that happen, but it's all part of it. It's a human experience that we get to grow through and learn from. And it's empowering, it's strengthening. So while it's shameful in the very beginning, I can't tell you, my skin crawled. I was in a hospital where they came in and handcuffed me behind my back and walked me through the hospital in handcuffs. It was humiliating and shameful, but
Our system is broken, for sure.
Absolutely. And quite honestly, the reason that whatever you did, you had trauma that you didn't deserve to begin with. Like, that's the whole start of it. Like, why should you or anyone or me feel shame if there was trauma that was caused by someone we never deserved? It doesn't make sense, right? It just doesn't. There should be no shame. Thank you for asking for help. Thank you for getting better. And you know what? I'm 61. I've never met a perfect person. I've never met anybody that's like, no skeletons in their closet. Thank you very much. Right?
You're extra sick. That's how we feel, anyways.
Yeah.
What causes are you working with recently?
The sober is the new cool merchandise right now. Once the t-shirts are paid, every sale goes. The profits go to a place here in Montreal called the Douglas Foundation, which is one of the biggest mental health institutes to help people with trauma, any kind of addiction, like eating addiction.
Remind us where you are again.
In Montreal, Canada.
Montreal.
Yeah, and I'm in the presence of hopefully getting nonprofit status, charity status, because I have a few foundations, believe it or not, that believe in sobriety and mental health. Because with my son, we did do a lot of therapy and whatever, and I believe in it. It gave us back our life, and so I fight for it every day. And so I have two big foundations want to give me money, but they can't get a tax receipt unless the government okays me. So keep your fingers crossed that I get okay.
Will, for sure.
If not, I'm going to find another way, and I'm going to still help people. And, we just, yeah. And so if anybody asks me now, I've had a bunch of people ask me to talk in their AA meetings as a guest. And I, so whatever anybody asks, I do. If somebody asks me to be on a podcast, I'll talk to anybody, everybody, no matter where, when, because
Did you get involved with the fellowship when you stopped drinking?
No.
How did the process? What did the process look like to you? For you?
Well, I went and I got hypnotized, believe it or not, because I quit smoking like years before with 5 years before with a hypnotist. And you know what? I think I really wanted to not drink anymore for Matthew. I mean, it was definitely a Matthew thing, at the beginning. And I think I used him as an excuse or crutch, call it what you will. Mm-hmm. The first year I went nowhere, basically.
It's your why. He was your why.
Yeah. And I didn't go to restaurants because the Italian restaurant was red wine. The sushi restaurant was rosé. This one was a vodka martini. I mean, the list goes on, I got to call it as it, And so it was, the first year was hard. And then once I did start to get out into the world, I was always probably the first one to leave the party because I did find it a bit, hard at the beginning. Not the not drinking thing, but I just felt like, wow, did I look like that, when I was drinking? And I like it was like bad memories for me. I was feeling like, ooh, and so like those moments of, the next morning, who did I text? What did I say? Did I say something wrong? And because, I didn't like confrontation. And I found when I did used to drink, that's the way it was, like that liquid courage, and I would say what I wanted. Not so
No
good,
filter. No
Yes.
filter.
So, now I think that when I do say things, I don't regret what I say, and I'm very careful how I say it. Before with booze, I was a little arrogant or pushy or whatever, because it was something that was on my heart and I couldn't share, and then it would just come from God knows where, and people are looking at me like, oh my God, what happened there? She was happy 5 minutes
Where'd
ago.
Kim go?
Yeah. So, and I mean, people say, no, Kim, it was so far and few between. But, I think for me, it was really, I really found my life at 52 years of age. And I hope, if I can help people find their life better, faster, easier, and know they matter, I'm going to do it till the day I die.
It's beautiful. You have a mission. You have a purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And, I feel that, I get up some days and I think, oh, I haven't helped anybody. I haven't done this. What am I doing here? And then all of a sudden somebody calls or somebody texts and they need something, or, they saw a show where they saw somebody, and then or I hooked them up with somebody. Like one girl in England, she was going to one of Sober Dave's events. And so she sent a text and she said, I don't think I'm going to go after all. I'm only 8 months sober. I don't know anybody. I'm afraid to walk in. I'm embarrassed to walk in by myself. I said, hey, wait a minute. Yeah. So, I learned how to do that put everybody's name that I knew that was in London. Well, one girl was one train stop away from her. So they took the train together to go to the event. So
Right.
And you know what? She loved it. And that, I think, being with sober people is so important, especially at the beginning. Especially at the beginning, to surround yourself, to live, to create success,
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing that. That's amazing. That's something rewarding that recovery gives us, is the ability to connect with other people like ourselves and put ourselves in that person's shoes, their situation or whatnot, and that hope and encouragement, it goes a long ways.
And how honored are we that somebody chooses to share their life with us, and tell us that they need something, or can we help them, and and trust us enough to be able to confide in us. That's like, wow, that's the biggest compliment in the world you could get, that somebody trusts you enough with their feelings, right?
That's right. Most of us have trust issues too.
Yeah.
It can be very empowering for for both of us, actually.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, I just find as time goes on, I mean, the first 6 years when Matthew was sick, we didn't go anywhere. We didn't go on vacation. And the 6th year, I rented a country home about an hour away, and Matthew would come back and forth. And I tell you, I could have jumped on anybody's glass of wine for 60 days that whole summer at this place where we go. It's Party Central. But the lack of control that I felt of that, I guess I'm a bit of an egomaniac, that I thought life wouldn't work without me. Like, how could I leave Matthew alone? How could I trust him alone? How would he take his pills alone? Would he drink? Would he do this? Would he do that? Right? So that 60 days of being alone in year 6 was the hardest of all the years of my sobriety. Okay. That was the hardest, because I guess I'm a bit of a helicopter mom or control freak, and letting go is hard. It's hard.
Absolutely is. But the good thing is you made it through, and here you are on the other side of that time. And it's just further evidence that recovery is possible, and it can be obtained, and we can do it consistently going forward, and it adds so much value to our life and our existence.
He is so lucky to have you.
Well, and the other thing is, like at the beginning, he did drink a few times here and there. So we did end up back in, the hospital. So to me, I think when I hear someone that says that they made a mistake and they slipped, I don't think that everything went poof and disappeared, all the good that they did before, because, we are human. And that's why I love that saying of yours that you have on your arms. Yeah. Yeah. Like, because you know what? That's what it's about, right? Nobody's perfect. And, don't be shy. And if you do make a mistake, come back. We're here and we love you and we're going to embrace you and take care of you. And, everything's going to be okay,
Some different treatment facilities have started differentiating between a relapse and a lapse, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's huge. Stephanie uses a good analogy, and she says, so you get on your bike and you start riding to the store, and you get halfway to the store and you fall off your bike and you fall down, and does that mean that you're not halfway to the store now? Or are you just halfway to the store, right? And I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted a meme on Facebook today that said, when a child's learning to walk, when he falls down 50 times, he never thinks that, well, maybe this isn't for me. Right. He gets back up and keeps trying to do it.
That's right. And, like with cigarettes, I smoked for years. Like, so that stop. There was like no big deal when I stopped or I started. So let's just, be kind to everybody and just like not make them feel like that,
It's funny you brought up hypnosis, because I just did a session last weekend myself. First time ever. And I really didn't know what to expect, but it was like a deep meditation.
Yes.
For the most part. It wasn't like it was some magical experience.
No.
I didn't know what to expect, but I'm to the point in my recovery that I want to find other tools to add value to my recovery, to help me stay clean and sober. And thank you. I've relapsed a couple times since we've known each other, and I let you know that. And you were always very supportive and loving, and that speaks volumes about you as a person as well. So thank you for that, for the love and support and everything that you do. You really are making a difference.
Yeah.
But everything you guys do is so fantastic. And I remember people saying, I don't have any value. And I say, all those posts that you write or somebody else writes, like all these young girls that I know that are on Instagram, and they send things, somebody else is reading it and it helps them. You might not know it, but it does. Absolutely. And you got to continue, right? Like my sweet Kelly Marie. I mean, imagine she was in a coma over 2 years ago, and now she's running like 40 nurses, and she's magnificent, and she has a wonderful wife, and they're loving human beings. And I soar when I think about all these young girls and young men that are just, and anyone who's just doing so well in recovery. I love it. It just makes my day.
I would love to have her on here as well, because if that's not a story of survival and overcoming, I don't know what is. In a coma, to getting her degree, to managing all these nurses under her, and she's alive and thriving, clean and sober.
Yeah, and she just celebrated her 2 years. I just posted this past week about her with all different pictures, because I was, I'm so proud of her, and I just love her. And she just did a recovery walk in Philadelphia, and she's just fantastic. She's just
I would like to meet and talk with her as well. Yeah.
Yes, I'll definitely hook you up.
Can you ever come to the States?
Well, actually, I'm going to go to New York City on October 22nd to do a meet and greet with a bunch of women in Central Park. And and then hopefully I'll get to London to meet my sweet Natty. And a bunch. I must have about 50 or 75 women in the UK that I just that you would love. You would love them all. They all have wonderful stories, and they're wonderful people, and men, women, whatever. It's just the world is like, I swear, if I could just get on a plane and just go everywhere, I'd be the happiest. But
Me
for now,
too.
this has to
Me
work,
too.
right? This
Isn't
has
that
to work.
so cool though that you get to experience recovery in other countries and like multicultural, like South Africa? Like I met someone from South Africa and he's really cool. And the way he talks about how they do recovery there, I was like, wow, like I never would have known that if I didn't talk to you. Like it's crazy. It's amazing.
And there's not a one size fits all for recovery.
No.
And you know, I jog, I meditate, I did a hypnotist, I do all kind. I burn sage crazily every
Yeah. We do it.
You know, I get crystals.
That's something new that I've learned as well, smudging and about the Native American culture since I've been here in Wisconsin. A lot of nature, a lot of God, you know, a lot of smudging rituals that they do. It's really very eye-opening, and I think we can take a little bit of everything and implement it into our lives. You know,
exactly.
Why limit ourselves on the healing that we can receive?
Right. Exactly. You know, and listen, I just think that we're just so fortunate to have, because to me, the last 10 years, or especially the last 5 years, the people who I've met on social media in the sobriety community are the most authentic, loving, sensitive people, honestly, I've ever met.
Everywhere you turn, you'll see light workers. I think people talk about, you know, social media being toxic and all these things. And I'm like, no, honey, you just need to flood your timeline with recovery.
Yeah.
Exercise that block button.
Right.
Block. Yeah. There's a few you have to block here and there, but that's okay, right? That's on them. You know, if that's what they do, then, you know, so be it.
Absolutely. I don't want no part of any of that, and I'll continue on my path doing what I do with the people that I love, and keep sharing that message of hope. You know, we do recover. We can recover. We can have a life of purpose and destiny. We can do and be anything we want to do as long as we set our minds to it. Because alcoholics and addicts are not dumb people.
No. If anything, I think we're really very sensitive. Absolutely. And loving, right? Yep. You know, so I think the alcohol and the drugs is really a Band-Aid for what's really the sadness inside. You know,
4 issues. You know, under those many layers, like an onion, we get to the core, get to the root of the problem. And you know, I never had a drug and alcohol problem. I had a me problem. Something with me, trying to kill something in me that didn't belong.
Yeah. Or they say, like, for me, I think it was, you know, kind of like, I was always insecure. Like, I did all these fundraisers for cancer events or things like that when I was younger. And I'd have like 3 drinks before I'd get there because I was like so nervous that everything wasn't perfect, or, you know, I'd have to talk to people. God, I talk to, and like, you know what? I talk to people so much better now than with all that cocktails in me, you know, like, wow.
80 proof in your veins.
Not so great, you know.
I can relate to that. You're too tense. You'll have a few drinks, you get loosened up, and they feel a little good. You have a little more, and then you're too loose.
But really, I think at least when I would drink, like undercover, like, you know, you drink, and then I would always end up like 2, 3 a.m. on the floor, like makeup all over my face, on the phone crying to my mom, like every time I would drink. And that's just where it would go. But like, you know, people say that they drink alcohol to like numb things, but I think I would drink to feel things that I was suppressing. So like being able to like be emotional and like sloppy, like crying, like
that's not a healthy coping mechanism. Right? That wasn't healthy.
But you know, like it all comes from me. I think for me, at least, it was all being insecure, that I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I should have been a doctor. I should have been a lawyer. I should have been something. And you know what? I'm happy with who I am right now. This is what I should have been doing all along, right?
And you're fabulous, darling. Where's your red glasses? We love the red glasses.
Yeah, love it, love it.
You're beautiful.
You look like a novelist.
Oh, I may become one now, right? The sky's the limit, right? The sky's the limit.
Yeah. So Sober is the New Cool is your brand all the way across all social media platforms, correct?
Yes, and it's an official trademark, so no one can use it without, well, they're not supposed to anyways, but it's a trademark in the United States, in Canada, and in Europe. So, you know, this is really, Sober is the New Cool is to give somebody, you know, when they put on a t-shirt to feel like, you might remember, not Amanda, but in our day, remember the t-shirt with champagne and cocaine?
Yeah,
Well, I think Sober is the New Cool is a better t-shirt for that.
Champagne and cocaine. Boy, that brings back memories.
Yeah. The 1980s there, you were.
This is your brain on drugs. Eh?
Yeah, exactly. So I think this works better, right? And you know what? I think too, the other thing is it's all about wellness and mental health, because it goes hand in hand as far as I'm concerned, right? So let's just try and be cool and be nice and be kind and, you know, let people know that, you know, they're enough just the way they are and they're loved, and we're here.
Absolutely. I want to throw this picture up one time because this is one more time. This is just a beautiful picture of you and your son.
Yeah. And he doesn't drink, by the way. He did at the beginning, you know, but here and there. But now that's like, he just said, Mom, there's no point. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to go to a hospital. And, you know, people know, you know, and so he's slowly, you know, he's trying to talk to young guys his own age, because that's good, right? You don't have to have a reason not to drink.
That's right.
You don't have to be an alcoholic. You don't have to be a drug addict. You can choose not to drink, period. Yep. End of story.
Yep. Make that decision.
Right. And
cool. Duh.
Yeah. And if you have a problem, listen, for me, being sober is my slice of heaven. So if you can drink 2 drinks, go ahead. I'm not going to hate on you. You know, go ahead. You know, but this is my slice of heaven. So, you know.
Right.
Let it be, right? Let
it be. Is there anything you would like to say before we wrap this up? Any words of encouragement for someone out there that may be on the fence about finding, you know, trying a clean and sober lifestyle?
Well, with Sober October coming up, I would suggest that people just try and get on social media and just try it, you know, just try it. And you know, we are here, and, you know, I think that if you do reach out, just reach out, because I promise you, nobody's going to make you feel bad.
No.
I can promise you that, and there's sober angels everywhere just waiting to help you. And you know what? You're going to be happy you tried this. I can promise you that.
Amen to that. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. This is your first Facebook Live, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You killed it.
You did wonderfully.
You did great.
Thank you very much. Normally they get me on those podcasts where they edit, because I talk too much. I think I get like too passionate, and I go like yak. But anyways, I love what I do, and I love who I help, and you know, and I love you, Higgy, and I love you, Amanda. I'm going to get to know you better too. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Everyone, please jump over to Sober is the New Cool on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Instagram is the new cool dot.
Yeah.
I was trying to look at the ticker on the bottom.
You didn't butcher that at all, man.
I didn't butcher that.
And thank you. I'm honored that you had me as a guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you come back again?
Absolutely, anytime. And I'm going to send you Kelly Marie's. And I've got a list of people you'll love. Trust me.
Absolutely. I'm always looking to expand my network of people in recovery, and people that want to share their message. You know, the true recovery warriors, the survivors, the overcomers, those people that just aren't afraid of stigma or shame or guilt anymore, that want to empower people. And that's what I want to do with this platform. I want to empower people, give them motivation, and give them multiple tools to choose from. I mean, not everyone can get clean and sober in a fellowship. There are other pathways where you know, there's more than one pathway. Experiment, find out what works for you. Use a combination of everything. I'm taking a little bit of everything. I'm creating my own program of recovery for Higgy, and it's working. It's working right now, and I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm able to communicate for the most part without my stuttering. I have a speech impediment, but I try to push through that. But still, the message is the same. Reach out if you're struggling. There's people out here that will love on you and care about you until you can care for yourself. And Kim made a valid point. You know, she didn't get sober for herself. You know, use whatever motivation you have at your disposal to fight for the life that you deserve. You know, and in working through that, her love for her son, she found love for herself.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
totally adds so much more value and adds another dimension to the whole process, which is very, very powerful.
We gotta get Higgy a mic to drop, you guys.
Love you, Kim. Thank you very much.
Love you.
Stay on here after we end this broadcast. Everybody, thank you for tuning into the Survivor Series. Please tune in on Tuesday. JP from Minnesota, Hope Dealers, will be my guest. It's going to be a really good live as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you very much.